Pete Martin. Thanks for watching. If you're interested in other videos of mandolin, fiddle, improvisation, and many other musical subjects, click the subscribe banner below. And if you want to be notified when I post new videos, click the bell icon right next to it. This is a series of videos that teaches jazz educator and pianist Barry Harris's ideas for learning bebop improvisation. I would definitely, if this is the first video you've seen, I would definitely go back and start at video number 1, because the ideas progress and build upon each other as the videos go along. Any real serious students of this method, I would definitely suggest getting at least workbook 1 of the Barry Harris. It's called the Barry Harris Workshop video. And then there's a second one. You can get these from Howard Reese's website, which is Bop City Productions. But if you would just put in a search engine, Barry Harris Workshop video number 1 or number 2, you'd get his website that he sells these on. These books are pretty expensive. They're not cheap, but boy, are they just packed full of information on this method. And I think they're very much worth it. There's also DVDs included that are videos of Barry presenting these ideas like the student is at one of his workshops. So it's very cool to hear how the instruments do it. Now, there's no mandolin players in this. This is all, this is a jazz teaching method, basically a way to learn bebop. And so because of that, you're not going to see any mandolin players in here. You'll see guitar, you'll see piano, upright bass, drums, and horn players. The most common instruments in jazz ensembles. But you can take these ideas and put them to the mandolin. But anyway, that's one of the things I'm showing you in this series. There's a PDF that goes along with this, so email me and request Barry Harris for mandolin number 7 rhythm bridge ideas. In this video, we're going to look at some improvising things that we can do on the bridge of rhythm changes. So make sure that you've seen the video on rhythm changes. I think it's number 4, and that you're comfortable with everything on that. And that you've seen also, well, I would suggest all of the videos up to this point, just simply because there's going to be a number of things we refer to from each of the videos that we're going to use in this. We're going to look at this in the key of B flat, which is the common key of I've Got Rhythm, and all the rhythm changes tunes that people like Charlie Parker wrote, because it's the most standard key of this. But eventually you should really learn this in all keys. The first thing let's go back and review the scale outlines for I Got Rhythm. They're shown here in example 1. let's look at the bridge, or the B part, of rhythm changes. It starts at the top of the second page of the PDF file, or measure number 17. So we have basically 2 measures of D7, 2 measures of G7, 2 measures of C7, and 2 measures of F7. Notice in this bridge we're just playing a dominant 7 chord and then going around the circle of fifths to the next dominant 7 chord, and we're repeating that for a 4-chord cycle. So one of the things we can do now if we want to improvise against this is we can choose a line and then simply play that same line modulating to the new key center of the new chord. So in other words, against a D7 chord, we could play a D7 line, then we could go against the G7 chord and play the same line, but transposed down to G7. So this is a really great thing to train yourself to do, because doing things like this can add real interest and real logic into your solo. This is where, to me, the fun part of the Barry Harris way of doing things really starts to kick in. We can take what we've learned that we can play against dominant 7 chords and start to use those things and make up lines with them. So remember, we learned the basic dominant 7 scale, then we learned how to play it in thirds, in triads, and in chords, and then all of those with lead-in notes, and all of those both ascending and descending. So we could use that. We have all the extra note rules, so we can use those things. And we have 5, 4, 3, 2, so we can use all of those. So now, just as an example, let's take at the beginning of the D7 chord, we're going to, for 2 measures, let's just start on the 5th of the D7 chord and descend the D7 scale outline, but let's use the 3 extra note rules. So I do that here in example 2. I could take that same melodic idea and move it through all 4 chords of the bridge of I Got Rhythm. I do that in example 3. So let's try a different phrase here. Let's start on the 3rd of a D7 chord and ascend the dominant scale down to C, the flat 7. Here we're going to pivot on the chord and then go into the number 3 phrase. This is example 4. Now let's take the phrase we made up in example 4 and play it through all 4 chords of the bridge. This is example 5. Now let's try a new phrase. Let's start on the 5th of D7, and we're going to alternate going down and up chords. Remember, that's one of the things we practiced on the D7 scale. Then we're going to, after that, play the 3 phrase, and then we're going to pivot a chord starting on the note D. So this is example 6, and I play it here. Now I'm going to play the phrase we made up in example 6 through all the chords of the bridge of I Got Rhythm. This is example 7. In the C7 chord of example 7, there is an ever slight change. I didn't do a pivot in the same place I did on all the other chords, but I played the same 4-note chord. What that did is it brought me up in pitch to the point where it made more sense going into the F7 line. So you can easily alter any of these to make them go into the next chord more logically. As a final thing to play, try playing all the way through I Got Rhythm, and on the A parts of the tune, play the scale outlines. And when you get to the B part, try some of these phrases that we've worked on, or any of the ones you want to do on your own. I just grabbed 2 of them that we did in this video up to this point and played them. I think it's very essential for each student at this point to spend a fair amount of time coming up with various phrases on their own. One of the things that is so terrific about the Barry Harris system is there's almost infinite numbers of things you can do. And each of us tends to gravitate towards sounds in this system that we like and use those. But because we tend to use those more, we will sound different than anybody else. So spend a fair amount of time, first of all, kind of composing them like I did, and then practice them real slow, but with either a metronome or a play-along on a dominant 7 chord, but making a few of these things up. And eventually, if you do this enough, you'll start to get where you can make these up off the cuff as you're improvising. Then add those in to your own phrases if you're an experienced improviser, or use them to build some of your own phrases if you're a less experienced improviser. So this is where, like I said, this is where it really gets fun. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.